Thank you for tuning in for the next hour. We have sort of an amazing show over the next hour. At Liberty University, as Keith said, you are free to be many things. It is, after all, called Liberty University. But you are not free to be a Democrat on campus. That amazing story is ahead, as is the official speed reader of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, here with us live this hour. Also, Dick Cheney being seriously floated as a campaign surrogate for Republican candidates, which is, of course, making Democrats very happy. That is all ahead this hour. But we begin tonight with what is quickly becoming the Republican Party's presumptive next presidential ticket, Cheney-Gingrich 2012. The two most visible Republicans in the country right now, the faces and voices being presented as counterpoint to President Obama, are Gerald Ford's former chief of staff and the early 90s era Speaker of the House who led the Republican Revolution 2 Republican revolutions ago. Between them, Dick Cheney and Newt Gingrich hold as much official power as our recently graduated college intern Michael, who works part-time at a bar. Neither Mr. Gingrich nor Mr. Cheney hold any office. But boy howdy, have current Republican office holders embraced them. Former Vice President Cheney's national security speech yesterday at a D.C. think tank that was promoted by the media and by Republicans as the Republican alternative to President Obama's speech on the same subject. Obama v. Cheney, Cheney v. Obama. And the Cheney cheering section is not just his own family anymore. It's stocked with Republicans who actually have been elected to public office. South Dakota Republican Senator John Thune, for example, said, quote, "On this issue, I think he's viewed by people across the country as being very credible and very knowledgeable. What he says carries a lot of weight." Credible and knowledgeable? Compared to what? A fruit fly? Credible and knowledgeable? This guy?
Simply stated, there is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, credible and knowledgeable. He is as credible and knowledgeable on national security as I am on baking or string theory. Nevertheless, Republicans are rejecting earlier common wisdom that Cheney was political toxic waste. They are now embracing him to the point where they're considering deploying him as a campaign asset in the next election cycle. That's according to Senator John Cornyn, the chairman of the National Republican Senatorial Committee. Asked if Cheney would be a good surrogate for Senate Republican candidates, Cornyn said, quote, "I think it depends on the circumstance on the race, but I'd be proud to appear with the vice president anywhere, anytime." That noise you hear in the distance is the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee popping champagne and renting party votes. Mr. Cheney has been omnipresent over the past few weeks. He's been unavoidable. CNN, Fox News, a radio station in North Dakota, CBS, Fox News again, the big televised speech he did at the American Enterprise Institute. He's done all of these things just in the last couple of weeks. And it's not just him, it's his daughter, too. Liz and Dick Cheney have become TV tag team partners. Her recent appearances, MSNBC, Fox News, Fox News, Fox News, ABC, Fox News, MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, and today appearances on CNN, ABC, and MSNBC. That last one for an entire hour. This morning, Liz Cheney was on ABC's Good Morning America, and she got in a big fight with Lawrence O'Donnell.
The question of whether or not enhanced interrogation is torture has been answered, and it's been answered legally. And it's not that Cheney or President Bush or anybody else believed it to be torture. The Justice Department of the United Lawrence, I let you go. No, waterboarding is not torture. Lawrence, are you going to let me answer here?
Great.
Waterboarding is not torture. It's a very and you ought to go. I would refer you to Attorney General Holder's
testimony.
Why
has this country prosecuted people for waterboarding?
Lawrence,
why did we do that?
Because they did a number of other things in addition to waterboarding.
Oh. Yeah, waterboarding is not torture. We prosecuted people for other stuff. You know, waterboarding was just a coincidence with those prosecutions, really. Between Cheney and his family, really their only competition in terms of pure visibility on behalf of the Republican Party right now is former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich, who has been on NBC, Fox News, ABC Radio, Fox News, The Daily Show, ABC, Fox News. The ongoing theme of Mr. Gingrich's recent TV appearances is this Jeremiad he's on, that Nancy Pelosi should resign her position as Speaker of the House. Why does he think she should resign?
In trying to defend herself, She went on to say that the CIA lies all the time to Congress. That is a terrible falsehood. She defamed, she smeared every single person who works for the CIA everywhere in the world.
She defamed, she smeared every single person who works for the CIA everywhere in the world. The same guy who delivered that shiny gold nugget of overreaching, overstated political opportunistic nonsense wrote this about a national intelligence estimate in 2007. He wrote, quote, "The NIE is so professionally unworthy, so intellectually indefensible, and so fundamentally misleading that it is damaging to our national security." Thus smearing all 16 of America's intelligence agencies who contribute to things like the National Intelligence Estimate. Mr. Gingrich has embarrassed himself with this Jeremiad against Pelosi by calling for Pelosi's resignation. Even his fellow Republicans are telling Politico.com today that they are worried that they and he have overplayed their hand on this a bit. Nevertheless, despite that embarrassment, when the Republican Party was in need of someone to debate health care with Democrat Dick Durbin on this weekend's Meet the Press, they picked, drum roll please, Newt Gingrich. Yeah. The Republican Party has their leaders, and they're sticking with them. Cheney Gingrich 2012, why not? Joining us now is Joan Walsh, editor-in-chief of Salon.com. Joan, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Rachel.
So the common wisdom here is that Gingrich and Cheney are some of the least popular humans in the whole country, and the Republican Party is hurt by them appearing to be the leadership of the party. But I mean, we're actually seeing Cheney's approval rating tick up a little bit recently. Is it possible that the common wisdom is wrong and these guys could be good for the Republicans right now?
I don't think in the long run. I mean, this is their Back to the Future tour, and I don't think it can help them. What you've got right now in the Republican Party is a party that's out of leaders, it's out of ideas, and so they've thrown up these two has-beens, or they've nominated themselves to go out on this trashing tour, trash-talking the Democrats. And, you know, I think it will not last. The problem is, I do think it's mixed because I think it does hurt Obama. He's having to answer Dick Cheney, although he's trying to act like he's not, and that's never good. I think there's a possibility that you could even blame his centrism on the terror issues and preventive detention. My God, whoever thought we would see this on the constant hazing of Dick Cheney? But here's the bottom line, Rachel. Dick Cheney may hurt Obama in small ways, but they don't have anybody to come back with. Newt Gingrich will never be our president. Trust me. Put all your money on anybody but Gingrich. He cannot be elected in this country. So they really have nobody to serve up in 2012. And so even if these guys kind of soften up Obama and make our political discourse ugly for the next 3 years, I don't think that they're not going to get any traction because they have no leaders. So
in terms of the Republican Party coming back, which of course it eventually will, do you think that having Gingrich and Cheney in their leadership roles right now, does that mean that the Republican Party comes back like the party of Gingrich and Cheney, like the party of Gerald Ford's chief of staff and the House Speaker from 1994? Or do these guys just essentially hold a place and then they get supplanted by something totally new?
Well, I just don't know what the totally new is. I don't think Cheney has any intentions of ever running, but Gingrich is not quite declared, but he would like to be president. So he's not holding a place for anybody new. He's going to be out there throwing his elbows and making a problem of himself. Would the party ever get anybody younger, fresher, with better ideas and a more conciliatory style? I think that the Obama election told us that people want change and people were in the mood for something new. And the Republican Party, they've trashed Sarah Palin. Like her or not, she could have been an appealing figure, but they put her up too soon. And then they tore her apart when she didn't do all that well on the national stage. Poor Bobby Jindal got thrown before the Lions and didn't perform. Michael Steele is a punchline. So I think they're in a tough place. And, you know, the bottom line is, except for this notion of fear and trying to scare us all, they're out of ideas. They have no policy on reforming the economy, improving the economy. They have nothing to say on health care. They're really lost in the wilderness. And I think you saw with the Democrats for years that people thought it was about leadership, style. Oh, John Kerry wasn't quite the right guy. But it really is a question of articulating a vision for the future. And Obama did that. The Republicans have no one who's doing that right now.
Yeah, and of course, remarkably, President Bush is absolutely nowhere to be found. President Bush, his big public appearance this week was speaking to high school students in New Mexico. He's at least decided to keep his head down on this. Joan Walsh, editor-in-chief of Salon.com, thank you so much for your time tonight. Have a great weekend.
You too, Rachel. Thank you.
The late Jerry Falwell's evangelical Liberty University has kicked the college Democrats off campus, saying it is impossible to be a Democrat and be within the Christian doctrine that is the mission of the school. In other words, who would Jesus ban? Who would Jesus deprive of the freedom of assembly? That's next. And later, the Republican Party's latest ad compares putting terrorists in prison to nuclear annihilation. In related news, after a long battle against obviousness, subtlety has died. Stay with us. But first, one more thing. Scratch that. 3 more things about Dick Cheney's popularity among Republicans. Turns out moderate-ish Republicans like Senator John McCain, Tom Ridge, Florida Governor Charlie Crist are not so gung-ho about Cheney's recent appearances. Now, how am I going to tell this story in 30 seconds? Do we have a speed reader in the house by any chance? Anybody? Anybody? Hold on. Okay, yeah. Hey, it's Douglas Wilder, the official speed reader of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, the man they hired to speed read the 946-page global warming bill in the committee yesterday. Doug, we are up against a commercial break here. Can you help out with our 3 more things?
No problem, Rachel. The moderate Republicans turning against former Vice President Dick Cheney include former presidential candidate John McCain, who told The Atlantic yesterday that Cheney's defense of torture was helpful. He said, quote, when you have a majority of Americans, 70-something% saying we shouldn't torture them, I'm not sure it helps for Vice President to go out and continue to espouse that position. McCain went on to say Cheney, quote, believes that waterboarding doesn't fall under Geneva Conventions and not a form of torture, but it goes back to the Spanish Inquisition. And there's the nation's first Homeland Security Chief Tom Ridge who served under the Bush-Cheney administration. Rich told CNN that disagrees with Dick Cheney, does not think America is less safe under President Obama. Lastly, the Florida Governor Charlie Crist, who, by the way, was snubbed by the Florida GOP last week when he decided not to endorse him as a Republican challenger for the Senate race. Never mind, the National Republican Party waited all 14 minutes after Crist announced Senate to endorse him. Go figure. Well, now Crist too showed his displeasure for former Vice President. When asked if he'd be proud to campaign with Cheney, Crist very diplomatically said, quote, would I be proud to? Nobody's offered. Let's see. I don't want to deal in hypotheticals. There you have Rachel, 0 for 3 among these moderate Republicans.
That was amazing, Doug. Thank you very much. Doug Wilder will be back to put more of his talents on display in just a moment. Stick around. Stick around. Stick around. Stick around.
We make meeting times, lunch times, and conference times. But what we'd rather be making are tea times. Tea times are the official start of what we love to do. The time for shots we'd rather forget, and the ones we'll talk about forever. In Michigan, long days, relaxing weather, and more than 800 pristine courses make for the perfect tea time. Because being able to play all day is pure Michigan. Your trip begins at Michigan.org.
Look, I didn't want to bring this up, but,
You lost your job?
I might, Mason. That could mean that, you may have to take a year off of school. Let's wait and see how it goes.
We'll be fine, Dad. We'll figure it out.
Discover a smoothie like no other. New Activia Smoothies. Creamy, delicious, and above all, it contains Bifidus regularis and is clinically proven to help regulate your digestive system. New Activia Smoothies.
Activia! So do you guys actually walk the walk when it comes to communications technology?
Absolutely. I think you can save both a lot of money and a lot of people's time if you choose the right technology for the right place. And we think we save tens of millions of pounds a year.
Wow, that's a big number.
It's a very big number. So if you can do something that's good for the company and good for your shareholders at the same time, then it's pretty much a no-brainer.
Real Coleman Bay, London Junction.
If you don't use your inkjet printer because of the high cost of ink, then you don't really have a printer. Switch to Kodak and stop overpaying for ink. Find out how much you overpay for ink at Print and Pro.
The International Wildlife Museum is host to over 400 different kinds of animals, from insects to polar bears to a new certified man-eating tiger display. Taxidermy displays with realistic backgrounds help to highlight the animal's natural habitat. New to the International Wildlife Museum is the exclusive pronghorn antelope exhibit. The pronghorn antelope are indigenous to Arizona and are a vivid reminder of our living heritage. The International Wildlife Museum. Conservation, education, preservation.
Did you know the Honda Accord holds its value better than any other car in its class? And the reasons are simple. Its exceptional engineering can help lead to lower maintenance costs, and being a top safety pick can help lower insurance expenses. So what's the bottom line? The Accord costs less over the long term. And that's music to anyone's ears. Go to Edmunds.com for an independent report on the true cost to own an Accord. And then see your Honda dealer for great leases and low financing.
America's largest pet pharmacy.
Rage. It's like a trip. Survival means locking it down. Lock Up Raw, The Time to Kill. Premieres Saturday at 10. And coming Monday, what happens when the inmates run the cameras?
I want to get my life wet.
The season premiere of Lock Up on MSNBC.
Televangelist Oral Roberts founded Oral Roberts University in 1963. Oral Roberts University is known for its sci-fi architecture, including a giant hand model of Oral Roberts' praying hands that is about the size of a house. It's also known for a really embarrassing financial scandal involving Oral Roberts' son. Televangelist Pat Robertson founded the Christian Broadcasting Network University, which begat Regent University in 1977. That's known for the Bush administration hiring more than 150 Regent alumni to staff the upper tiers of the federal government, including Monica Goodling, who is seen here taking the fifth in the U.S. Attorney scandal. Televangelist Jerry Falwell founded the Lynchburg Baptist College in 1971, which begat the Liberty Baptist College in 1976, which begat Liberty University in 1985. Liberty is a big school. More than 11,000 students enrolled there last year. It's known for being the university founded by Jerry Falwell. It's also known for the auspicious decision to name its sports teams the Flames. And Liberty University is about to become famous for something else. They have banned Democrats on campus, literally, not hyperbole. The school revoked its recognition of the Liberty University Democratic Club on moral grounds, sending an email to the president of the club that read, quote, "We are unable to lend support to a club whose parent organization stands against the moral principles held by Liberty University," adding, quote, "The Democratic Party platform is contrary to the mission of Liberty University and to Christian doctrine. Parentheses, supports abortion, federal funding of abortion, advocates repeal of the Federal Defense of Marriage Act, promotes the LGBT agenda, hate crimes which include sexual orientation and gender identity, socialism, etc." The 30 members of the Liberty University campus Democrats can no longer use Liberty in their name. They can no longer advertise events. They basically can't use the word Liberty and Democrat in the same sentence. So students, you can enjoy all the liberty you want as long as you belong to the only political party allowed on campus. Joining us now is Brian Diaz. He is president of what used to be the Liberty University Democratic Club. Mr. Diaz, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Rachel.
Liberty University did formally recognize your club in October, right? But have they somehow unrecognized you?
Well, basically, they sent me an email around May 15th saying that we are not going to be recognized by the university as a club and official organization. So,
are you? How do you feel about that?
Personally, shocked, and I'm just shocked. That's just to say the least.
Are there? I'm guessing that there is a campus Republican club. Have they also had their recognition revoked?
No, they're still on campus.
I understand that Liberty University is a private school, but it's tax exempt. You can get federally supported student loans to attend Liberty. Do you think that Liberty is violating rights that you should have protected?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I think that, you should definitely be equal and show both sides of the issues equally.
I know that just last month, the Virginia Young Democrats Convention gave you guys the up-and-coming Chapter of the Year award. Are you getting any help from the Democratic Party?
Basically, we've been in contact with Virginia Young Democrats, and we've gotten some recognition from some gubernatorial candidates, Terry McAuliffe, and a person running for lieutenant governor, Mike Signer. But basically, that's it.
Earlier this week, officials at Brigham Young University told the Associated Press that they dissolved both the college Democrats and the college Republicans. But in that case, in your case, it was just the college Democrats. Would this actually, do you think this would actually be better if they had dissolved both party groups?
Well, I think that you definitely, if you're showing one side of the issue, you need to show the other side as well and equally. And I think that it's definitely, a shame that they won't do that.
How are you going to fight this, Brian?
Well, we've been in contact with a couple of people. Virginia Young Democrats actually has a petition up on their website, vayd.org, and we've been in contact with local Lynchburg people. They're great, and they support us, and they're definitely on there with the fight. And basically, hopefully, we can just pressure the school to reinstate us back in as a club.
I doubt that they are ever persuaded by anything that happens on the Rachel Maddow Show, but to the extent that we can help, I hope you'd let us know. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Brian Diaz is president of what used to be the Liberty University Democratic Club. Okay, coming up, the Republican Party releases a new ad outdoing themselves in their efforts to make you terrified of Barack Obama. Did I mention that he wants to kill the whole world? They have the documentation of it. That's coming up. Plus, very important, very fast news about speed reading in Congress. That's next.
Fair, straightforward pricing. That's what TD Ameritrade stands for. Think about it. Why pay investing fees you shouldn't have to, or account fees that aren't clear, like inactivity fees or maintenance fees? It's not right, and you know it. And the thing is, the other investment firms know it, but they do it anyway, and that's just not fair or straightforward. TD Ameritrade. Independence is the spirit that drives America's most successful investors.
We're visiting hidden valleys across America to see how they like the taste of Kraft Ranch.
That's good stuff.
Uh-huh. See? People in Hidden Valley love Kraft Ranch.
This is Hidden Valley Golf Course.
Yeah, exactly.
This is liberation through acceleration. This is the Lexus IS line. Special lease offers now available on the 2009 IS 250.
Whether it's Perry Ellis or Jones, New York, everybody can agree designer suits look expensive. Well, they are expensive. They're just not expensive here. You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it.
I don't think you can live the American lifestyle without energy.
We have all this energy here in the U.S. We have wind, we have solar, obviously, we have lots of oil.
I think we need to do maybe some offshore drilling.
I think we have the can-do, we have the capability, we have the technology.
The solutions are here. We just need to find them here, at home.
Monday. Lockup reloads with an all-new season premiere. This time, what happens when the inmates... I started stabbing. ...run the cameras. No script.
We're here to spoil the party.
No stars.
I want to get my life wet.
No stunt doubles.
Call for the ambulance.
He just attacked me for no reason.
That's prison.
Lockup, an all-new season, begins Monday at 10 on MSN.
Want to burn 1,000 calories in a 1-hour-long workout? You will when you train like a boxer. Boxing Incorporated trainers push you like your own personal coach. A strength workout, a cardio workout, all in one. And we're not just boxing. Boxing Incorporated has mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and grappling. The best personal training available. Boxing Incorporated, 2 locations in Tucson. Sign up this month and get hand wraps, gloves, and your first month free. Stinks.
Still ahead, Texas Governor Rick Perry stars in our week, WEAK Week in Review. Guess who's taking stimulus money? And guess what it's for? A very embarrassing Texas story coming up. But first, it's time for a couple of holy mackerel stories in today's news. As we head into this Memorial Day weekend, at least 300 people are likely to be showing their personal appreciation to one member of the U.S. Armed Services. He is Air Force Staff Sergeant Bartek Bachelata. He's part of an air refueling squadron in the U.S. Air Force stationed in Japan. And recently, he was a passenger on a United Airlines flight from Chicago to Tokyo. On the flight, from his window seat, Sergeant Bachelata noticed something that looked like white smoke coming from the left side of the plane. He saw it at takeoff and again at 30,000 feet. Since he's part of an air refueling squadron, he was pretty sure he knew what he was looking at. Sergeant Bachelata's job is operating the refueling boom for mid-air plane-to-plane refueling maneuvers. He knows what it looks like when a plane's got a fuel leak, and when he saw that white smoke look off the side of the plane, he thought, that's a fuel leak, a big one. Sergeant Bachelata hit the flight attendant call button, and the flight attendant came right over and said, sir, I'm handing out drinks. I'll be right back with you. Sergeant Bachelata then got out his camera or his cell phone and videotaped the leak. He then called the flight attendant back to his seat, said, ma'am, it's an emergency. He identified himself as a member of the Air Force and showed her the video he had taken of the leak. To her credit, the flight attendant stopped serving drinks and alerted the captain. United says the flight crew was already aware of the problem. The captain decided that heading out over the Pacific Ocean for the flight to Japan would be a bad idea with a big fuel leak. They diverted the plane to land in San Francisco. The airman was put up in a hotel for the night and was given a seat in first class the next day when he resumed his trip. Well done, Sergeant. And the House Energy and Commerce Committee has passed what the New York Times calls the most ambitious energy and global warming legislation ever debated in Congress. As it moves on through Congress now, Republicans are expected to throw everything they've got at stopping the legislation, which would, I actually think we're going to run out of time before the commercial trying to go through the bill. So let's bring in Doug Wilder, the speed reader hired by House Democrats in case Republicans tried to block passage through slow down and read it out loud tactics. Mr. Wilder, please take it away.
The American Clean Energy Security aims to cut U.S. greenhouse gases that contribute to global warming by 17% below 2005 levels by the year 2020 and 83% by 2050. The legislation also requires utilities to generate 50% of electric supplies by 2020 from renewable energy sources such as wind and solar power. The heart of the legislation is a cap-and-trade system that would gradually reduce the amount of greenhouse gases from utilities, oil refineries, steelmakers, and other companies by requiring them to have permits to spew their emissions.
I never could have done that without you. Doug Wilder, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's very handy.
Thank you.
Can I ask you how you got this job on the Energy and Commerce Committee?
Yeah, I actually am an actor in D.C., and my friend Matt Eisenberg, who's also an actor who works on the committee, called me and said, we need somebody who can read really fast and who has the stamina to read a huge bill, and he explained the circumstances. And so I went in and I read the bill, and they were looking for somebody who could read at 40 seconds a page, and then my first effort was 40 seconds a page. And then over the course of the week, I was able to get down to about 32, 33 seconds a page.
How did you get your speed down so fast? How did you practice to get better at it?
Well, I do some tongue twisters. I was trying to do tongue twisters as fast as I can because when I run into words like carbon sequestration and hydrochlorofluorocarbons, it got a little tough.
What are some of the tongue twisters you practice on?
I can do one for you if you want.
Okay.
Theophiles Thistle, the successful thistle sifter, in sifting a sea full of unsifted thistles, thrusts 3,000 thistles through the thick of his thumb. Now, if Theophiles Thistle, the successful thistle sifter, in sifting a sea full of unsifted thistles, thrusts 3,000 thistles through the thick of his thumb, see that thou, in sifting a sea full of unsifted thistles, thrust not 3,000 thistles through the thick of thy thumb. Success to the successful thistle sifter.
And that makes you strong. Doing that makes you builds up your face in some way.
I don't know. You know, I'm not really trained as a speed reader. I just happened to stumble into a skill that I guess I have.
Are they paying you per minute or per page?
They paid me per hour.
Oh, that's the incentives are all wrong there.
Yeah, well.
You know what I mean? Right? I mean,
yeah,
they should pay you per fewer hours. Well, let me just ask you, would you, this is your first ever paid speed reading gig, which means I was wrong to describe you as a speed reading professional before when we first covered this story. Would you ever take another speed reading gig? Do you sort of like the work?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a blast. And, you know, I mean, if it's a skill that you have, market it.
I guess. Well, you have done so very effectively on this show. Doug, thank you so much for being on the show, and good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Douglas Wilder, the only congressional speed reader America has or needs. All right, since America refuses to be petrified of Barack Obama, the Republican Party have updated one of the most notorious fear-mongering ads of all time. Stay tuned to learn what to be afraid of now. And if you don't stay tuned, I can't promise that horrible things won't happen to you.
We will not be quiet. We will not try to blend in. Disappear in the background. Play second fiddle. When we're in a sandwich, a salad, a panini or crostini, you'll know it. We're not like the others. We won't ever try to be. We are our own mixed-up blend of one-of-a-kind spices. We are Miracle Whip, and we will not tone it down.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the sun. Me and everyone.
See what you love.
Looking at
love what you see. LensCrafters.
Performance now is all about logic. That some cars cost as much as $1,500 to maintain is one thing. That others cost even more is quite another. That a BMW costs you nothing to maintain defies all logic whatsoever, and in turn makes it the most logical choice of all. Performance now is the 3 Series. Visit your local BMW center today for a test drive.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired of the big oil companies always belly aching we can't afford clean energy. Well, if the big oil boys want to keep on polluting and keep raising gas prices, maybe we're due for a new direction. Overdue, if you ask me. Repowering America with truly clean energy won't just save God's green earth. It'll help get our economy back on its feet and more people back to work. Future's clean energy, so what are we waiting for? Repower America. It's time to get real.
We now offer phone service for $1.70 a month with MagicJack. That's just $19.95 a year. $19.95 a year. We give you free local and long distance and your own phone number. Replace your phone company or add a second line with MagicJack.
Think your family is protected from insects and the unseen germs they may carry? They're not. Protect them from invading insects with Bear Advanced Home Pest Plus Germ Killer. Its unique dual-action formula kills insects up to 12 months indoors. Plus, only Bear Advanced reduces 99.9% of the germs pests may leave behind, creating a protective barrier that keeps new bugs out. Make your home sweet for you, not them. Bear Advanced. Better science, better results.
Tonight, Farrah's story in her own words.
It is seriously time for a miracle.
Tonight at 11 Eastern on MSNBC.
Is this the Republican Brain Trust? Keith rips their chaotic power grab.
Brilliant.
Countdown with Keith Olbermann, Tuesday at 8 on MSNBC.
If you can spare 17 seconds, I want to share with you what I think is one of the strangest, most ambitious, horribly bizarre political ads ever aired on American television. It's an old one. It's from 1968 when Democrats Hubert Humphrey and Ed Muskie were running against Richard Nixon and we'll check it out. Notice how it ends just as the laughing guy starts retching? It's classy with a K, right? The guy who created that ad in 1968 also worked on arguably the most famous political ad of all time, which ran only once in 1964 as part of Lyndon Johnson's campaign against Barry Goldwater.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6, 8, 9, 9.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
These are the stakes. To make a world in which all of God's children can live, or to go into the dark. We must either love each other or we must die.
Vote for President Johnson on November 3rd. The stakes are too high for you to stay home.
The reason the Daisy ad is the most famous political ad of all time is because it is the paragon of the be afraid, vote for us strategy. Daisy was widely seen as completely over the top, extreme exploitation of Americans' fears, and that's why it only ran once. But today, completely over the top, extreme exploitation of Americans' fears is not really a problem anymore. As the Republican Party adopts this as their new theme song, be afraid, vote for us. I'm not going to play the entire ad again, but remember, this is how the Republican Party has been campaigning thus far on the issue of Guantanamo. The feeling of fear or anxiety you might be experiencing watching that, it's because of the scary music. It's not because of the argument they're making in the ad. The argument they're making is about how scary it is that bad guys might be put into American prisons, which is actually not that scary an idea. As the Washington Post headline conveniently pointed out today, Supermax prisons in U.S. already hold terrorists. Timothy McVeigh, Ted Kaczynski, Richard Reed, Ramzi Youssef, Zacarias Moussaoui, Richard Ramirez, Eric Rudolph, Charles Manson, all some examples of bad guys who have been safely held in U.S. prisons without us having that horrible agita feeling that O Fortuna gives us. But the Republicans think that there's some be afraid, vote for us blood still available to be wrung from this stone, and so they have doubled down. They are not content to be simply inspired by the over-the-top extreme exploitation of American fears symbolized by the Daisy ad from 1968. They're not content on to have the symbolism, to have the inspiration. They're now using actual footage from that actual 1968 ad in their Guantanamo campaigning.
To close it, not.
Guantanamo, that's easy. Close down Guantanamo.
To close it, not.
I don't believe that should come to the United States.
We will never allow terrorists to be released into the United States.
To close it, not.
We've made some hasty decisions that are now going to take some time to unwind. And closing Guantanamo Bay obviously is one of those decisions.
These are the stakes.
Guantanamo, that's easy. Close down Guantanamo.
Of course, the argument that Robert Gibbs was saying had been taken, the decision that was hasty was the Bush administration's decision to open Guantanamo. The argument of that ad really is that putting more terrorists in American prisons is the same thing as the nuclear annihilation of the whole world. Today's Republican Party brought to you by fear, scaring people into getting in line since the first time God ever smote something. Joining us now is Melissa Harris-Lacewell, professor of politics and African-American studies at Princeton University. Melissa, thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Can we start with a little experiment?
Sure.
We're going to play O Fortuna in the studio. Go ahead. Can we play it? Even though I have been playing this over and over and over again on the show, trying to inure myself to the effect, the sound of it does make me feel scared. And it makes me wonder if maybe Republicans are being sort of smart here. I mean, okay, Kelly, it's going to make me upset. Fear is powerful.
Sure. They're not dumb. So the worst thing that we could do would be to underestimate the GOP and to think that just because there was a loss in 2008 that they've lost their capacity to communicate with the American people. I was a little afraid watching Dick Cheney give his rebuttal to Barack Obama. I was afraid because he was talking about being in a bunker, and I kept thinking, you know, I don't get to be in a bunker. If something goes wrong next time, you know, we live right here in the New York area. I'm not going to be whisked away. Neither is my 7-year-old daughter or my friends or family. Yeah. So, I mean, there is something scary about living in the terrorist age and recognizing America's now part of that.
Do you think that there's a connection between the Republican Party really doubling down on this be afraid theme, and I mean, to the point of self-parody, is there a connection between that and Dick Cheney being the most visible representative of the party now?
Sure. And there's also a connection between those things and the Democrats actually cowering in the corner and appearing to be afraid.
Like on what?
So let's take Guantanamo, and let's take Democrats defecting from their president on the question of closing Guantanamo and seeming to, in fact, give credence to this idea that any one of them might end up with a Willie Horton ad played against them in their Senate reelection campaigns. Their great fear is that some member of some detainee from Guantanamo will end up in their backyard, in their supermax. Something will happen, and it will be used against them in a Willie Horton manner in their reelection. And so they're cowering rather than saying, you know, there's only one thing that can be true here. Either a president is not responsible for security breaches that occur in his administration until September 12th, or 9/11 happened when Bush and Cheney were on the watch. Right. I mean, those are the only possibilities. So I don't know why they don't push back that if we are to be afraid of anyone, we should be afraid of the people who let 9/11 happen when they had been in office twice as long as Barack Obama has been in office.
If we take them on their own terms about what people are responsible for. Overall, on the issue of Guantanamo, the Republicans are pressing here because they feel like there is an advantage to press. And when the president isn't able to convince even members of his own party to stick with him on something like this, it actually does say something about his leadership capacity on this. I don't know, even regardless of the wisdom of the policy choices that he is making, it seems to me like he's not a very good political leader on this issue because he's not able to bring very many people along with him on this issue.
Well, it is possible that this is a failure of Obama's leadership. It's also possible that Barack Obama's wrong. But what I'm going to say is if he's running a basketball cabinet, everybody needs to be watching the finals together. Yeah. And the reason they need to be doing it is because the reason Barack Obama is president is because he outmaneuvered everyone in the Democratic Party to win the nomination and everyone in the Republican Party to win. He's their go-to guy. Give him the rock. Yeah. Get behind Pelosi, get behind Barack Obama. These are your leaders. This is your team.
And it ought to be judged, Democrats ought to be judged in terms of their leadership skills on how well they're able to recognize what the agenda is of the day, articulate an alternative to it, or be coherent in their support. And we're not getting that either.
Yeah.
Melissa Harris-Lacewell of Princeton University, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you here.
Always. Thanks.
Coming up, you did not wake up thinking about our next guests. I can practically guarantee it. However, after you hear and see their story, you may fall asleep amazed by them. You will want to stick around. Plus, Kent Jones will be here with the Week in Review. It was a banner 7 days of weekitude. Stick around. But first, one more thing about terrifying the electorate. If liberals were like Republicans, here's how they would have dealt with the provision slipped into the new credit card bill that inexplicably makes it legal to carry loaded concealed weapons in national parks. National parks turned to national nightmares. Instruments of death, concealed and loaded weapons allowed among our children while they play in America's backyard. What can a weapon do?
These are the stakes.
See, that's how the Republicans would have played that. It would have totally worked, too.
This is humiliating. Stand still so we can get an accurate reading. Okay, 18 pounds and a smidge.
A smidge?
You know, there's really no need to weigh packages under 70 pounds. With priority mail flat rate boxes from the Postal Service, if it fits, it ships anywhere in the country for a low flat rate.
Cool. You know, this scale is off a good 7, 8 pounds. Maybe 5.
Priority mail flat rate boxes, only from the Postal Service. A simpler way to ship.
It's a fork.
You're a wombat. Honey, it's the pizza guy.
Sure.
Me again.
Okay, now this is the last time, all right?
Thanks. You know, we don't deliver anything like this as crispy flatbread. Are you having like a party or something? Hello?
Introducing the taste that's never been delivered. DiGiorno Crispy Flatbread Pizza. For deliciously Italian-inspired toppings on crispy flatbread crust, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
Hello, I don't think we've met.
Why is it raining? Who's the rain?
Roger that.
No rain, no rainbows.
Could you tell us what's going on? Yeah, the cake is en route, the tulips just arrived, and the groom is...
He's getting cold feet. I'm okay. No, I'm not.
Look, we gotta go now. The light's perfect.
We need the stunt groom now. What's a stunt groom?
Jackpot.
Get work done now. Nextel Direct Connect with GPS tracking. Only on the Now Network.
It took us maybe, 2 hours to give up the corporate life?
I think it took me about 10 minutes. Running a B&B is not a desk job.
I have to climb stairs 20 to 30 times a day.
Keep moving with new Nature Made Triple Flex, newly formulated to work in as little as 7 days. With glucosamine to support cartilage health, hyaluronic acid known to lubricate joints, and chondroitin complex for fast joint comfort.
It's like a new beginning.
New Nature Made Triple Flex. Learn more at tripleflex.com. Nature Made. Fuel your greatness. Also available in liquid soft.
The latest opinion research survey shows George W. Bush's favorability rating at 41%. That is up 6 points since he left office. Seems the whole no public appearances, spending a lot of time with teenagers strategy is paying off. By the way, the 19-year-old college student President Bush repeatedly called, who was supposed to join us on the show this week, bailed on us, decided not to come on the show after all. He probably got a more important call.
Healthful life from Purina Cat Chow. With real chicken, wholesome greens, delicious salmon, and a touch of cranberry and cheese. Finally, it's all come together. Healthful life from Purina Cat Chow. Yes, healthy can be delicious.
Discover a smoothie like no other. New Activia Smoothies. Creamy, delicious, and above all, it contains Bifidus regularis and is clinically proven to help regulate your digestive system. New
Via Hermosa Retirement Community. Call now to schedule your complimentary lunch and tour. Via HermosaTucson.com. 1% retirement, 99% fun. Yippee!
Okay, so the Ford F-150 is the only truck with those new steps on the tailgate and the side of the box, making it easier to get to the cargo. And you're thinking, I don't need those. Oh yeah? Let's do the math. How many times are you going to be in and out of the cargo box? Once? Twice? No. I'm thinking 50, maybe 60,000 times, especially since it's got the most payload. You see what I'm getting at? Hey, unless all you're carrying is yarn, it seems like a no-brainer to me, okay? It's not just a pickup truck. It's a Ford F-150.
Whatever the toughest thing you ever did in your life was, prepare to be impressed and maybe amazed. This is the story of a walk from Pakistan into northern Afghanistan at the height of the Soviet-Afghan War. And the walkers were armed primarily with medicine and, in one case, cameras. Here's the story. 23 years ago, a French photographer named Didier Lefebvre joined the mission of Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières, MSF, an organization that provides care based on need all over the world and in war zones offers care to people on all sides of the conflict, combatant or non-combatant. Their mission to Soviet-occupied Afghanistan was so harrowing that you might not believe me if I tried to retell it to you today. Fortunately for us, there is a photographic record of the entire trip. Didier Lefebvre died in 2007, but before he did, he and his friend Emmanuel Guibert took the pictures and seamlessly produced this hybrid book, unlike anything I've ever seen before. It's called The Photographer. It's part travelogue, it's part novel. It's part amazing war photography. It's about the photographer, of course, himself, Didier Lefebvre, but it's also about the mission that they were on, as well as the person leading the mission, Dr. Juliette Fourneau. She is in some ways the hero of this story, or at least a hero of this story. She speaks fluent Afghan Farsi, which allows her to engage with and negotiate with local leaders. And even though as a woman, she attracts a whole lot of attention in one of the most conservative places on earth and one of the most dangerous places on earth, she is able to lead her team on its remarkable life-saving mission. Joining us now is Juliette Fourneau and Emmanuel Guibert, the man who turned Didier Lefebvre's photographs into this incredible sort of graphic novel. I don't feel totally comfortable calling it a graphic novel because it's a lot of other things besides. But it's really nice to meet you both. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Dr. Fourneau, let me start with you. You obviously were leading this caravan, and you were doing all the negotiation that needed to be done in order to ensure safe passage. You were doing things like paying the horse grooms and all the people who were traveling with you. Were you scared while you were doing this?
No, I wasn't scared. Actually, I felt very safe.
Yeah. Didier was scared. We know from his photographs and from the way he describes it. Did you know that the people who you were leading were scared?
Actually, no. They were taken over by the physical challenge of just setting a foot after the other, getting over 7 or 8 passes to reach to the clinics after 1,000 miles, 35 days walk. So the fear was not a factor.
Emmanuel, why did you and Didier finally decide to put this project together almost 20 years after he took the photographs? These photographs were taken in 1986. Why do this now?
When he came back in 86 from this mission, he had taken 4,000 pictures during the mission, and he's been very lucky, privileged to see 6 of them published when he came back, and all the rest wasn't supposed to get out of these boxes anymore. And I felt there was some sort of injustice in that, and I proposed to him that we should make a book together to try to show the rest of the mission and make justice to this story.
When you were on this mission, what did you tell people in Afghanistan about what Didier was doing, why he was traveling with you, why he was taking pictures? How did you explain his presence among all of these doctors?
Actually, his presence was part of the request of the Afghan population, because there was almost no coverage of the war. There were very few journals or magazines or reporters that were sent by their home offices. So that was part of the drama and the tragedy of the Afghan population, was this wall of silence. And we were some of the very, very few witnesses and Westerners to enter that zone. And so we basically had to do the work that normally reporters and journalists would do. And the Afghans had a keen understanding of the value of our witnessing and carrying the word out of their suffering and what they were going through.
Remembering a remarkable moment in the story, which is not a story, it's real life, but in this recollection in which people, even in moments of incredible crisis, with a parent having just lost a child, asks you personally to document it, to take footage of it so that it can be seen, so that it became known publicly. That acute sense that what's happening in Afghanistan in all of its horror had to be known so that there could be some, at least awareness, if not help.
Yeah, and giving meaning to what they were doing. Yeah. So the mother was mumbling, at least if you are able to record it and show it out to the world, my child will not be dead for nothing.
Dr. Juliette Fourneau, Emmanuel Guibert, who featured in and the creator of The Photographer, Journey into War-Torn Afghanistan with Doctors Without Borders. Literally one of the most amazing publications I've ever read, just in terms of its style, its structure, and then what it tries to cover. Congratulations to both of you. Continued good luck.
Thank you very much.
Coming up on Countdown, a right-wing talk radio host gets waterboarded and concludes, hey, wow, that is torture. Took him about 7 seconds to change his mind, if that. Coming up next on this show, the funniest photograph that I or anyone has ever seen of Raul Castro, and the Week in Review. It's all coming up.
you call for help? What are you doing?
Filling my own Capital One credit card. Look, I can upload my own photo.
We have internet access?
Here's a good one. I was full for 3 days.
Cheeseburger! No! Cheeseburger.
Personalize your card at Capital One Card Lab by uploading your own photo at CapitalOne.com.
What's in your wallet?
Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, and yes.
So you really do have America's largest push-to-talk coverage area?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna need a lot more darts. And a new map.
Switch to Verizon Wireless, owner of the nation's largest push-to-talk network coverage area and the most reliable voice network in America. Activate push-to-talk and get this great deal.
Has progress taken us to a better place? I'd say it's taken us for a ride. Honestly, what thanks do we owe progress? We're up to our necks in landfill and down to the wire in resources, and climate change is out to get us. That's why progress plays no role inside Post shredded wheat. Here, we put the no in innovation. Post original shredded wheat is still just the one simple, honest ingredient which naturally comes with vitamins, minerals, and fiber. All we did was make it spoon-sized. Did we go too far?
This country definitely needs to focus on other ways to get energy.
We should be looking closer to home.
There are places off the continental shelf.
Natural gas can be a part of the solution.
I think we need to work on wind resources.
They ought to be carefully mapping every conceivable alternative.
There is an endless opportunity right here.
It's a curious thing that happens. It seems when we get to a place where no one knows us, we become most ourselves, trying new things, making new friends, laughing out loud, and dancing in the streets. It's time to venture out. Who knows just who we might discover as we come alive under the spell of pure Michigan. Your trip begins at michigan.org.
Looking to save money on the products you need and use the most? There's one path to follow. The one that leads to your neighborhood Walgreens, where you'll find our affordable essentials, the products you use most, now for less every day.
Keith challenges Dick Cheney's truthfulness on national security and the Bush years. Countdown with Keith Olbermann, next only on MSNBC.
Now it is time to look back on the last 7 days of public lamitude. Here now is my friend Kent Jones with the week in review. Hi, Kent. What do you got?
Hi, Rachel. Plenty of weekitude out there. I mean, plenty. Shall we?
All right.
First up, crypto secessionist of the week. Texas Governor Rick Perry talks a tough game about Washington and taking federal money.
We think it's time to draw the line in the sand and tell Washington that no longer are we going to accept their oppressive hand in the state of Texas.
But now that the governor's mansion in Austin needs to be rebuilt, it was burned in an arson fire last summer, guess where Texas is getting $11 million for the repairs? From the federal stimulus package. Funny how the tune changes when they're fixing your house. Wink. Next, American Idiots of the Week. Walmart is refusing to sell Green Day's #1 album, 21st Century Breakdown, because of language and content. Green Day? What? Said lead singer Billy Joe Armstrong. What does that say to a young kid who's trying to speak his mind, making a record for the first time? The W in Walmart stands for weak. And finally, Europop Poseur of the Week. The Eurovision Song Contest is over, but the aroma of this musical Weekapalooza lingers on. In case you missed it, here's Sakis Ruvas singing This Is Our Night. This is our night, time for a change, baby, get rid of the old, take a home, let me free. I think we can all agree This Greek is weak.
You know, it actually takes, it's a remarkable act of surgery to allow the shirt to be that perfectly unbuttoned and yet structured through all those aggressive dance moves.
He's a professional.
Yes.
And that's why he's where he is. It certainly is.
Thank you, Ken. Excellent. All right, cocktail moment for you.
Yeah.
The Clios are kind of the Oscars of the ad world.
Sure.
And I want to show you some of the Clio winners from this year in the public service division. Check this out. That is Hugo Chavez, afraid of a mouse.
Yeah.
Get it? It's an internet freedom thing. Hugo Chavez, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, which is very good. And then my favorite one is Raul Castro, terrified of Little Mouse. These are all done for the International Society for Human Rights. They won Clio Awards. I think they totally deserve them. I think they're brilliant. We've linked to them at our website, rachel.msnbc.com.
I fear them too, so just for the record.
Fair enough. I like the trackball myself. Thank you, Kent. Thank you for watching tonight. We will see you back here next week. Countdown with Keith Olbermann starts right now. Have a very good long weekend. Good night.